known as Margot. Today's your birthday. Wishing you all the best for the day. Great lady, great lady. I'll pay you a visit one of these days. But we have cash out. It goes with the short code *439#. Let us know whether you have this. So we'll put it on the screen for you. *439# means that when you dial it, you have to, as many times as you can, increase the number of tickets you have. And you're choosing TV3, remember, always. You dial it as many times. But the first dial, when you do it, please follow the prompt. So after you've dialed *439#, you're going to get this welcome message. That's going to give you the options. You choose 2, all right? And then when you choose the 2, another prompt will come. That is giving you the option to choose a number of tickets. I always encourage you, do over 30. It enables money to be credited into your mobile money account, and you become one of those lucky winners. Like Mr. Stephen Peng, who always wished that, who is in WOW, hoping that he'll become one of those lucky winners as well as Neo Dick Nia Tukwekwe. As for Zealous Dwayne, he's always in the UK, so Charlie, outside it. But Zealous Dwayne, please give money to your relatives here to be staking so that they become one of those lucky. Today we want to talk about a very serious issue that, again, is at the center of the discussion, has been, of course, the government of John Dramani Mahama as well as Nana Jinopoku Agyemang just came into office. Indeed, their 90 days will be in place, I believe, in the next 5 days as well. Of course, so we have 5 days more to assess the 90-day promises. But inherent in there was one of the promises to ban illegal mining in forest reserves entirely, and then even amend the LI, so to speak. Now we're told that, no, I think scrap it, I believe, scrap it. But now it's been amended. But the overall concern has been the question that are being asked about what strategy the John Mahama Nana Jinopoku Agyemang is using to get all stakeholders on board. And the stakeholders are key: his own appointees, from ministers to various MMDCs who will be appointed following their nomination, and then subsequently the chiefs, the civil society organizations, including the media, as well as the ordinary member of the public in communities where Galamsey is endemic. And again, Erastus Asari Donko, who copiously, and again rightly so, has been awarded continuously for his consistency in covering the effect of Galamsey in communities, the use of cyanide, mercury and other metals when they want eventually to get the gold, its effect on water bodies as well as human habitation, forest reserves, the vegetative cover of our country, and then of course on our lives, because it affects water we drink, the food we eat. If you travel to a Galamsey area, you're drinking water, you'll think that maybe it is water that is produced here in Accra to those areas. No. Now, the water companies are franchising. So it means that you may see your favorite brand of bottled water or mineral water in an endemic area for Galamsey. And you think that the water or the treatment and then the bottling and the packaging was done maybe in Kumasi or in Accra. But they have franchised the manufacturing or the processes for getting the product to you. So a third party is doing that. Of course, they monitor. I mean, some of the bottling companies, the producers of water. And you think that you're drinking good water because you know the brand in Kumasi or in Accra. But you're actually drinking water, even if it's coming from the only water treatment company we have. The concern is it clean water? Clean water. We've come to the point where even at the start of this administration, we had a minister, a member of parliament in the Western North region who was fingered and the chiefs even had to go to the extent of declaring some level of ban or him wanted or whatever it is in their win area, and subsequent his denial. We've had deployments of security to the areas. Currently, as we're being told, I have people in the Ghana Armed Forces as well as the police, and some of my friends say they are in some of the areas, they are managing the issue. But what's the strategy? 6 people, latest, we're told, have died. William Evans Sinkum, a bureau chief from the Middle Belt in the northern part of our country, has been monitoring the situation. Very, very sad situation. We'll bring you the shots very soon. But let me just introduce our guest for today. Anyelisa Alasan Suhiyeni, Hamza Suhiyeni. He's a legal practitioner. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
You have to suffer the fate of your brother. Sorry.
I'm used to that now.
Yeah, you should be.
Used to that now.
And good morning to you as well.
Good morning, Ro.
And Solomon Owusu is a regular now, so we know him. He says it as it is. If you're watching us on our stream, we're grateful. Please share the stream. Let's have some insight into, do you think that the John Mahama, Nana John Opoku Agyeman government strategy, if they have it at all, or the way they are going about clamping down on Galamsey is the way to go? What are your expectations? Please share the stream. Let's have some great conversation this morning. Let me acknowledge some of you who already are on the stream. And I already see Obrin Ponka, our great guy. Kingston is already there. Semega. I see Yesuto Belinda. Ofori Julie, good morning to you. Evans Ibn Samba. All of you, please share the stream. New Boy Jefferson, I wish you all the best for the day. And William Evans Sinkum will be on the stream to tell us the latest. But Hamza, 6 people just died. Pasetia, of course. But we have pockets of pollution being undertaken, people's farmlands, and even the farmers willingly are selling the farms or giving the farms out, whether they are doing gold sharing or whatever way they are doing it. And the question then is, what really is a strategy by the government? Hamza.
Roland, good morning to you, my brother Solo, and of course to our cherished viewers out there. First of all, my condolences to the families that appeared to have lost loved ones as a result of the Galamsey menace. Irrespective of the way you view it, they are citizens of Ghana, and even if some of them were complicit in terms of the Galamsey activities, it still would have behooved on the Republic to ensure that they are taken through the legal processes of the land to be found guilty or otherwise. But brute force in terms of murder is something that we must not condone, irrespective of how strong we feel about disregard for our laws by citizens of this country. It is not for nothing that the judiciary is there and our investigative bodies are paid monthly to ensure that they live up to the dictates of their mandate. So on the basis of that, my express condolences to the said families. But Roland, what is the strategy? I think that the strategy has never been lost on the Ghanaian people as far as the NDC is concerned.
What's the strategy, Hamza?
We made it clear that in order to effectively deal with the menace of Galamsey, you needed a holistic strategy, a sustainable approach to the fight against Galamsey. And so these days, when I monitor the media and I hear the things being foisted on His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama and the NDC,
what is being foisted?
And I'll tell you what is being foisted. We never made the promise that we're going to end the Galamsey menace in a matter of a week or a month. It is not accurate.
Or 3 months.
Or 3 months. We never said so. At every point of the way, His Excellency President Mahama made clear his position on the fight against Galamsey and indicated that just like how we confronted the issue of Dumso under him, it needed a holistic and sustainable approach if indeed, as a country, we are committed to resolving Dumso. It is not for nothing that if you go through our first 100 days, 120 days pledge that we made, you do not see anywhere in those 26 promises where President Mahama has said that I would end illegal mining in a matter of 120 days. We could have said that because we knew that the fight is odious And we knew that to be able to succeed, there was the need for us to put in place, there's the need for us to put in place measures that could be sustainable in terms of that fight. That is why we didn't make that promise. So, Roland, I charge anybody monitoring this morning to go back to the 120-day pledge His Excellency President Mahama and the National Democratic Congress made to the good people of this country, and point out where we have indicated that we would end illegal mining in a matter of 3 months. We never said so. Even regarding the repeal or subsequent amendment of LI 2462, you will not find that in our 120-day pledge. Though we made a commitment that we were going to amend that law to make it impossible or illegal for the president to grant mining concessions in our forest reserves. And the processes are started. I listened to the Minister of Environment, Science and Technology the other time, my own big brother, Honorable Murtala Mohammed, where he indicated that the first draft had been sent to the Minister of Justice for his views in terms of the amendment before it will be laid before the parliamentary committee mandated to go through such amendment. So clearly, the government is on course. And apart from that, we understand that, you see, the fight against Galamsey has national security implications to a very large extent tied, Roland, to our economic fortunes of the country. Since 2022, the then government decided, as a matter of an unconventional policy and spoken, not to use the military agencies in the fight against Galamsey. So what you need to understand that since 2022, those engaged in illegal mining have enjoyed that laxity of freedom to operate. No interference. Now, this was at a time the economy was in shambles. So because our economy was in shambles, people resorted hugely, especially within the western zones. They resorted hugely to illegal mining as a means of livelihood. Any government that is responsive to our economic challenges and the menace of illegal mining would need to have a holistic approach, whereby, first of all, you are dealing with your economic mess that has been left, that makes it difficult for the people to have access to decent jobs, whilst at the same time trying to engage the people in the form of stakeholder engagement for them to appreciate the dangers involved in what they are doing. So it is not for nothing that you have seen the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources engaging stakeholders in that regard. We have proceeded to also launch what we called the forest, what's the name? The Blue Water. The Blue Water Initiative, where guards have been trained.
Which people? The people? Those people?
Yes, no, but you see, that is why I've told you that it's a holistic approach. You see, the danger is for you to begin to look down upon the initiatives. They are interconnected. So you may see something as being clearly insignificant. Yes. But if you look at the holistic strategy that we are deploying, you would come to the appreciation that it is also a key. Because it is not just to end it in the short term, but it is to end it even in the long term. So there's the need for you to carry the people along. Are you saying
there's a strategy to this?
I am. That is what I'm telling you.
Are you privy to the strategy?
I am.
Okay. And where's the blueprint? Where's the document?
No, I have told you. You see, that is what I'm telling you. That I have told you that if you observe the way the government is going, clearly, the strategy is there. You are a media man. You can engage the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources. He made that point clear, I think 2-3 days ago, when he engaged and said that as a ministry, they have a plan. And he's in constant touch with the president, who seemed to be concerned about the minutes. And as I speak with you, we have been able to tell you that out of about the 45 forests that was under besiege, we have been able to reclaim 7 of them. That is not in doubt. In the past, you did not have that information. So if there is no strategy influencing our action against illegal mining, we wouldn't have been in a position to tell you clearly that we have been able to reclaim about 7 forests that was initially taken over by illegal mining.
Mr. Sufiyini, at the end of the day, when you are implementing public policy, if you're implementing that policy based on strategy, you have to engage.
You see,
you communicate what the strategy is, so that when you're implementing it, the various stakeholders,
I understand.
The various stakeholders will be aware. Do you think that the implementation phase of the strategy that nobody knows except you, or we're being told by the minister, has been communicated to key stakeholders, and the stakeholders are multifaceted? Is that not?
You see, that is the danger. That is why I started by telling you that the fight against Galamsey is also tied to our national security. So you may have, the strategy is undoubtedly there, but it may not be in your interest, security-wise, for that strategy to be made public, because immediately it is made public, because of its linkages with our national security, you are likely to even jeopardize it before it commences. We must appreciate that fact, Roland. It is not just an ordinary fight. We are dealing with a situation that has potential risks for the stability of this country. It could actually be a potential source of civil unrest or civil conflicts in this country. So undoubtedly there is a strategy, but it is not a strategy that must be made public for unscrupulous people to take advantage and even begin to beat their government and prepare for government in terms of implementation of that strategy. The aspects of the strategy that are meant to be public, that is what we are seeing. You are seeing engagement with our traditional authorities. In many instances where we've had information.
You're saying the strategy that's being implemented is a secret strategy or what?
I am telling you.
Who has it been communicated to?
I am telling you that it's been communicated with those. National security is involved in the fight. The Minister of Interior, the Minister of Defense, they are all actively engaged in the fight. And I'm simply telling you that if you look at the strategy, it is unrolling. Maybe what you it is rolling out. Maybe what you want to see is open, broad day confrontation. That aspect is also ongoing, but in a controlled manner, because you don't want to use military officers in such a way that could lead to escalation across the forest reserve that we believe are under siege. So you do it face by face, and that is what is happening. Is it not true that you have military officers reclaiming some of our forest lands? That is the overall objective. They are reclaiming it. Today there's a temporal freeze on the granting of licenses as far as mining, small-scale mining is concerned. There's a directive to the Minerals Commission to begin the audit processes of all licenses issued. It's part of the elaborate strategy to confront it, where we would begin to streamline even the way licenses are given out to mining, to small-scale miners. It is not an activity that can be done in just a matter of 3 months. We appreciate that. And that is what we are committed to. And that is why even in the heat of the campaign, we never promised the good people of this country that we're going to solve the menace of illegal mining in a matter of 3 months or 1 year. So the fight is ongoing. Just yesterday, I monitored Erastus, another spirited guy. Erastus, right?
His life feed.
Yes, another committed guy as far as the fight is concerned. He made it clear that it appears that the presidency is listening, and even had cause to thank His Excellency the President on his word because of an action that was taken. So clearly this is a government that is committed. In the past, we didn't have that. In the past, you had ministers, appointees of this government, party officials, functionaries of the last administration actively being engaged in illegal mining in our forest reserves. This is not the case under this administration. So there's a strategy in place, and trust me, because of the havoc it causes the good people of this country, I can understand if people expect, or if citizens want the fight to be taken a notch higher, legitimate demand. And these are calls we can all place at the doorstep of the government to ensure that at least we move with some level of swiftness as far as that canker is concerned. Because clearly, they have confidence in the government. That's why they gave him that. They gave us the overwhelming mandate. So if there's something we can do, and for many of us, I am beautifully in line with the calls for us to declare a state of emergency in that regard. Yeah, I subscribe to it.
You think it's a good call?
I think that it is a good call, but at the end of the day, I'm not the one going to take the decision. It is His Excellency the President who will take the decision. And the decision will be based on briefings he gets from national security and his security agency. So, as someone who is passionate and desires that we bring illegal mining to an end, and as a citizen of this country, I am within my right to call for the declaration of state of emergency, but I do not have access to information that would inform that decision.
Give me 3 pointers. 1, 2, 3. That makes you think that what you're saying is really true, that government is committed to the fight.
First, has to do with the president's unmistakable declaration that he's not willing to entertain any political appointee of his engaged in illegal mining. Because remember, in opposition, he made it clear that the fight against illegal mining, if you are concentrating on those who are actually in the pits, they are not the bigger fishes. The bigger fishes are those we do not see.
Two.
So, secondly, stakeholder consultation. You have seen the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources engaging stakeholders in the fight against Galamsey.
Where has he engaged?
Oh, he has met chiefs. He's gone to the Western region. He has had meaningful engagement with even with the Western Regional House of Chiefs. So clearly, this is important stakeholder engagement when it comes to the fight. And thirdly, commitment of our security agencies. You have seen the impressive collaboration between the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, the Minister for the Interior, and that of Defense, who are collaborating, and Minister of Environment, Science and Technology, as far as the fight is concerned, and even in the deployment of forest guards and our military officers in terms of our quest to reclaim most of these forests. So clearly, this is a government that has a plan, Roland.
Now, he quotes Erastus, and rightly so, because Erastus has been very consistent on this as a media practitioner, and then also as an advocate. His action also reminds me of Ken Saro-Wiwa. At the end of the day, those who didn't like the actions of Ken Saro-Wiwa as a journalist and an environmentalist for the people of the Niger Delta, we all know what happened to him. So without stakeholder support and then the government support, it will come to naught. So my question then is, if you go by the updates that the gentleman he mentioned, that we all acknowledge, Erastus Osari-Donko, just 46 minutes ago, puts on his Facebook platform, says there's a rubber plantation in just between the junction of Apega and Bunzu in the eastern region. It's operated by Wilson Estates Limited. They've been doing that since 1972. There's massive encroachment. You find the pictures, rightly. And then more so, he did a live, of course, acknowledge that these days, compared to the past, the authorities are giving him a listening ear. And so acknowledges that. But says that there are instances, for example, where in the Tano Anria Forest Reserve, soldiers were asked to finish their work and mop all the settlements within the forest, and so thank the president for that. But at the same time, had to report this before there was an action. And thirdly, there was a court in the, is that the Western North region?
Yeah, in the Western North region, yeah.
Where the court ordered that seized equipment by rightful personnel that the president, through his assigns, have assigned to the Galamsey or the forest reserve, should be given back. Then leads to my question. I mean, in all this, we say we need stakeholder consultation and support. So the judiciary is part, the media is part, the traditional authorities are part, the appointees of the president are part. If these tend to fail one way or the other at certain times, what ideally should be done by the president as the executive head, the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, and by Article 257, the one who we have entrusted our mineral resources to?
Roland, let me say that you are aware that one of the reasons why the NDC is in power is the Galamsey fight.
One of them, and then corruption as well.
Corruption,
but Galamsey,
it was a key issue that brought them to power. True. So I'll be the last person to advise them to fight Galamsey, because once you don't fight it, you're on your way to opposition. This one,
I don't understand.
It's not negotiable. You came at the back of the fact that the former administration were not fighting Galamsey, and you got an overwhelming endorsement. And now the fight still persists. The canker is still there. So if you don't deal with it, nobody will tell you that the same Galamsey will take you out of office. And that is why I don't want this morning to begrudge my brother very much, because he is not in a position. He is yet to be given any authority. So he can only speak to the manifesto promises that they have given. But Roland, the truth of the matter is that the president must up his game.
The president must up his game?
He must up his
Why
game.
do you say that, Mr. Osu?
The posture of every president has the tendency of deterring people from venturing into...
You mean sending a message rightly or wrongly?
Yes. You see, you don't fight Galamsey. The people that we are dealing with, they are not considerate. They are not moderate. They are people whose only interest in this world is about money. And we are talking about money here. In a country where poverty levels are so rife, it is very easy for those that are having money, that's the Galamseyers, to actually compromise everybody in the supply chain. We took our Ghana armed forces to the forest. They compromised them.
In 2018,
they compromised. Some of them, in fact, became Galamseyers. And for the first time, some of them actually preferred being deployed to the forest rather than outside the country. So this is the gravity of the matter we are dealing with. That is why I find it very difficult accepting this blue water gas. Because if soldiers are being compromised, how much more twinkle little stars who are yet to see, they are yet to see 10,000 in their life.
Miniature.
If you go and give this boy 20,000, you would have killed the whole family. They will even be telling them when to go and do the Galamsey. We need a holistic approach. Like Riley said, an institution, officials of state institution, goes to confiscate excavators, and a judge, bold enough, says the excavators must be released. And that not just released, the police must make sure that it's taken to a different location, so safe. What is that judge doing over there? That judge, what is he now doing there? He has no business being at post. And this is why we expect actions to take place. You mentioned the issue of the MP for the Awin area. Why has that matter got into?
Well, he said he's not complicit. At the end of the day, traditional leaders and the
who is investigating him for them to tell us that he's not complicit? The last time I came here and said that what the Speaker of Parliament said he was going to investigate was neither here nor there. The security agencies should have acted and must act now. Professor Frimpong Boate's report is there. Names have been mentioned. What are we doing? But the truth of the matter is that because our politics has been monetized, you ask yourself, who are those that finances our political activities? It is these same people destroying the environment.
So monetization of our politics.
That is what has destroyed all these things we are discussing. Because the politician needs money to engage in campaign, and so goes to these people knowing very well that these people are engaged in environmental destruction. Yet you go and take their money. And voters too, we come to you to come and solicit your vote. When we are done, you say, they say, what is this business? So I came to send my message to you, and at the end of the day, you want to take money from me. Where do the voters think politicians get the money from? So we are all part of the problem. That is why the education must start from the basics. We need to conscientize our voters that voting for someone does not mean selling your conscience, and that you don't need to demand money from that person. What you need from that person that is soliciting your vote is his integrity and commitment to development of this country. So it's in cycles. Go to Western North, just by the roadside, openly, people are engaging in Galamsey. Don't you have regional ministers? Don't you have regional commanders of police? Don't you have forestry commission over there? Why is it that these people with impunity are able to do this Galamsey? And I can tell you, most often when they do the Galamsey, and why they have the police barrier, it's about 100 meters. They see them as though they are there to checkmate them, so that every day they take their sales. And that is why it is not enough. We from the Movement for Change had promised that we were going to ban it for 1 year. For a reason. Even those that go on fishing, there are periods that they are
ban. Is that the way to go?
Yeah, you need to, because you can't.
Why is that?
You see, when you ban it, then anybody that is in the forest becomes
a target.
A target
for arrest and prosecution.
Absolutely, you get all of them out. But that is not to say that these large-scale miners, those that you call multinationals, are also not engaging in Galamsey. They are all doing illegal things over there. The problem we have with our mining sector is that we do not have specific guidelines. Ask them what guidelines are regulating the large-scale miners and the small-scale miners, and you will be found wanted. So you put in place all these guidelines, and you make sure that you have watertight monitoring system, so that before you release these people back into their various concessions, you are monitoring them by the day. Unless you do that, then we are not getting anywhere. And I want to chip this in with the gold board. You see, in another breath, if we want to fight Galamsey, in another breath, you are also creating gold board, so that we buy gold from the small scale. Where are we going to get the gold from? I get to the point I'm trying to make, because the gold board is going to buy gold from small scale miners, and these are the people that so far we have identified that when even they have licenses, mind you, those that you classify as Galamseyers, a lot of them have mining licenses. But what they do is that when they go overboard because nobody is monitoring them, and at the end of the day, the state is saying that I'm going to buy gold from these small scale miners. So is it not in a way sponsoring Galamsey at the national level?
How do you make that conclusion?
Because you are going to buy from these same people who are engaging in illegal mining. You expect them to feed you with gold, so you are rather going to promote small scale mining. Look, anybody that thinks, I've heard a lot of people within the mining sector say, I have lived in the mining sector before. Nobody born of a woman can convince me that the benefits we get from mining outweighs the cost of mining. Nobody in this country.
To the environment, to human life.
To environment, to human life. How much does it cost to replace your kidney? You know the number of kidney cases you are experiencing in this country? Is cancer treatable? We are told that cancer takes 15 to 20 years. I want these miners to come and sit here with me and let's do valuation of cancer, whether or not their gold that they get can, as it were, cure cancer. So it is not something that we joke with it. And I believe that the president must follow his appointees closely and make sure that the promises that he gave to the people of this country are carried out. I am very much surprised that as we speak, we are still talking about the draft stage of the LI 2462. It has to be revoked.
Rather, they are doing an amendment, I think.
Amendment to allow who?
So that the president
that LI was not necessary.
You mean it has to be scrapped?
Everything must go. President Kufuor aired together with appointees. So it must go. So that we know that we are serious. As we speak, the water levels, as the stability is still NTU 14,000. So no improvement.
Some areas 12,000.
This is crazy.
The WHO and the UN standard is supposed to be at least. I don't know,
five NTU, and we are talking about thousands, and we are dealing with this. No, so the president must, and we also recommended that Article 257 that you made reference to, 6, has to be amended, so that we bring in other stakeholders who would consent with the president before a license is issued out. It cannot be that the president wakes up in Accra and then gives my land, the land in my village, to someone that there is gold there to go and mine, when the traditional authorities there have no clue about it. They have to consent whether or not the gold, the mere fact that there is gold under the bed does not mean we must go and mine. Your forebears, you came to meet them. Our forebears were so intelligent and so strong. Have you asked yourself why Africa has the best of lands in this world? We have all the mineral resources.
Of the taboos and the things that
our forebears also fought. Mind you, we fought these Caucasians, and we got the better part of the world, so that future generations will prosper. Not knowing our generation, we are just destroying the environment with impunity.
Well, I have Daryl Bosso. Daryl Bosso has been one of the leading advocates, executive director when it comes to Arocha Ghana, if not the leading or one of the leading environmental NGOs in Ghana, has been to all the COPs. The climate change conferences, that's what we call. The last one was it COP 29 thereabout? Okay, in Azerbaijan, I believe, in November of 2024. Now, Daryl, good morning.
My brother, I hope everything is great with you.
Chala Adeo Ade. It's been a while, right?
Yes. We're not talking in a while.
And I know that the last time you were in our studios on the key points with Alfredo Kanse, you raised some of these concerns. Now, let me ask you this very plain question. Do you think the president can do more than he's doing currently? And that's why the complaints keep coming about the sporadic effect of Galamsey and the haphazard way it's being undertaken without any concerted effort.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, and I must say that I think good morning also to colleague panelists as well, and so all who are listening. I think the issue at hand, we are at a point where we need to stop being very lenient and being very in terms of with approaching this issue with a kid gloves, because right now it's so serious that it's not only the water bodies that are polluted. People have been dying for a long time now. I mean, if you go to a lot of the mining sites, people are dying. It's the people in the pits, the mines are caving in, they are dying. People who are also close and taking the water from the rivers and all of that, they are also being exposed. We are also recording. And the doctors are saying that the signs and the incidence of certain diseases in our hospitals is not normal. It means that a lot is going wrong, and if we don't really sit up and deal with this issue, we are going to forever regret it. And for me, I agree with you when you say that the president can do more. Certainly, we lost an opportunity during the transition period, and a lot has happened. People have now taken siege in our first reserve. They are fully armed. They are ready to defend their turf. But we cannot allow these people to win. The state has more power, more logistics, more people who are more committed to dealing with it than the few people who are claiming they don't respect the rule of law in this country. So we believe that the government can do more, but they are not so far really living up to that expectation, unfortunately. And if you look at some of the incidents of, for example, cases coming from NG, from the court, issues with the police, and even sometimes how we are handling the excavators that are confiscated and all of that, the presidency, the executive can do more in dealing with Galamsey. So far, I'll say that it's for me a touch and go. We are not showing some dedication as we promised before we took power. And for example, if we take the LIG position, and I'm happy I've heard colleague panelists really talk very seriously about the issue. The presidency promised to really revoke LIG position. We are now in power. We have every opportunity to do that, and then we just go in with something of a gesture of an amendment, when we know that this amendment will not contribute to really solving the problem that we are confronted with. So the poster the government put out there is very, very important. You said you are going to revoke a law which is allowing for impunity and mining our forest reserves. You come to power, now you decide, I'm not going to amend it anymore. I'm not going to revoke it anymore. I'm going to amend it. You are telling people that way. I thought I would deal with Galamsey, but no, on second thought, maybe let's allow it to happen, and then we can also do what we can as and when. So for me, the posture is wrong, and that's why we think that the government needs to do more than they are doing. And I can't add more to what has already been said when you are asking about why really should the airlines. I think a lot has been said, and I agree that the airlines should completely also go so that the presidency can show all of us that he's really committed to the fight he promised to take on before he was elected as president.
And constantly you make references, if we have to make references to what our correspondent say, and then also what we see ourselves, Erastus Asari-Donkor is a leading advocate on this, leading figure, constantly, very consistent on this. And you find that there are people who still infiltrate forest reserves or areas, which ideally they should not be there. Would you say that there is complete complicity of authority at the various levels? And these authorities, some of them could be even members of government, because is it possible that people are looking on deliberately? And why do you say that?
Well, I think we've gone beyond we saying that there is some level of complicity. It's become very obvious that there are people connected to the party that is in power who are boldly and brazenly now working in forest reserve. No matter what the ministry will do with the police, with the military, and the forestry commission, they go into a forest reserve, they exit the next 2 hours, the people are back there. So there's definitely some culpability and some very deliberate action going on for these people to really go back. I get a sense that they are all saying that, look, our government is in power. The people's administration had all that they could do. It's a 10. Allow us for some few. I don't know how long they want to keep up with this charade of they are fighting Galamsey, but that's what they are not, because they know it's the people who are in there. So for me, I think that it's not whether there is some. It is really what is happening. And we have not seen that the government really show. And, I mean, we started calling for the state of emergency even before this government was elected. At the time when we were asking about revoke airline 2462, a state of emergency, they rallied behind us, they supported us, and all of that. And now you come, you have the opportunity, you decide to really not do what needs to be done. What needs to be done is the government should show with a certain force that, look, our forest reserves and rivers are no-go areas for anybody.
Yeah.
But so far, it's just been a kid-closed approach. And for me, that is not working.
Right.
Once your posture is not right, people would always see that you are not strong, you don't mean what you say, and they are going to just go behind you. And we will keep experiencing what we are currently seeing across the country, particularly with people always going back behind the minister when he has gone to clear a particular area, they go back. It will continue until we see some bold actions coming from the government. So far, it's just for me a touch and go, and it's not working. It's not working.
We'll get to Richard Kumado, who is a security person, but the last question I'll ask you is a very simple one before I let you go, because you're on phone and you're busy. On a scale of 1 or 0 to 10, how would you rate the approach that has been employed by the president and his assigns?
You want to put me in a very difficult position, but I mean, so far there's a lot of good talk, but very little action. I would say I'll give a 3 over 10.
3 over 10. It's a very simple question, so I don't know how you found yourself in a difficult position. But thank you very much, Dario Bosso.
Okay. Have a nice day, sir.
Arocha Ghana. Mr. Richard Kumado, you have all the experiences from the BNI, consulting issues of security. You interface with policymakers at various ministry departments and agencies. You have your sources within. You have to say that if Daryl and many stakeholders say the approach is, for example, a kid's glove approach, the posture is not right, and there has to be a declaration of a state of emergency. The president has to live by his word to ban the ally. What would you say is holding the president back? What do you think is holding the president back?
I think the minister is trying to be too nice. And when you are fighting Galamsey, that seems like a terrorism against the state. You don't need nice people in there. That whether we declare state of emergency or not, the situation was far worse than when President Mahama took over. The contention with the approach of President Mahama has been the issue about the ally. And that was a political promise and people bought into it. And so not repealing the ally and you want to review it, then you are giving credence to many of the things my brother said before he left me. But I want to go with what my big brother in the studio, Nanaya, said, movement for change.
Solomon Owusu. Solomon Owusu.
Yes, Solomon Owusu. It has always been about political party funding activity. Politics is very expensive. Democracy has become very expensive. The source of political party funding activity has become a major concern for African countries. And if you remember, some of us have led a crusade that let's have a bill about how political party activities have been funded. And it was something President Mahama spoke about. I want to believe that he's working at it where we will get up one day and there will be a bill about political party funding activities. If that happens, it will regulate many of the blind side things we do around politics, which one of them is about people engaging in politics and they want to engage in Galamsey and many of these things, and they buy bulldozers and buy hard equipment for many of these young ones who have no clue what is being done, and they destroyed almost everything. Having said that, I have known that the minister established the Blue Water Guard movement, which is the first line of observation to report to the higher authority. I'm also aware that licenses issued have been cancelled after 7 December. I'm also aware that the LI is being reviewed. I'm also aware that excavators have been seized. But when you are dealing with issues such as environmental terrorism and mining terrorism, where your accusers are so widely awake, I think you need to be a little bit more ruthless. And that level of gentility is what people are complaining about. Is something being done? Yes. Can we do more? Yes. Are we late in the fight? A little bit. But should we be aggressive and deal with it? Yes. Should we take politics out of it? Yes. If we do many of these ones, I believe we'll be making a headway. And if you look at the speed at which the young boy in Ashanti region is working, bringing all those who matter to Ashanti region, I seriously believe, from what my sources are telling me, they are a little bit aggressive and they will want to get the job done. So let's support them in that regard.
Okay. So by way of a security question, what then ideally should be done or should have been done by now?
No,
beyond the pockets of deployment, what should have been a security arrangement or directive that would show that there's no lip service and gentility in the approach?
Get the politicians out of the space, put the security officers in there, and tell them this is a national security operation. Let them tell you whatever they need, provide it for them, and they will get the job done in a week. These are trained officers. They know exactly what to do. And once it becomes a national security threat, they will not allow the threat to overpower them. What we do is that we move 3 steps forward and 7 steps backward. Where the security officers' hands have been tied, they are not allowed to work because there are politicians in there. And these politicians can say, these are our people. And so once they are our people, you need to treat them with kicks gloves. We are not trained that way. This is a threat that is facing the nation. And as a security strategy, to curtail some of these threats, leave the politicians out and put the security officers in front and leave them alone. They will get the job done.
Okay. And, well, William Evans Nkum will join us very soon. But I know it's difficult to defend the president and the government. But at the end of the day, these are the phrases and the description of the president's approach. Kid's glove approach, a very slow posture, too nice. That's attributed to the minister in charge. A political promise to repeal, not done. And then gentility. Let me go to William Evans Nkum. He's approaching the area where 6 people are said to have died. 3 bodies have been recovered so far, and we've gone to the point where now communities are being mined. The chiefs, the community leaders, that's the elders, the bushapenjes, everything, they are all looking on. Is it that they are complicit or that they are not empowered? William Evans Nkum, the Impasetia incident is just a microcosm of the issue. And it's not only in the Ashanti region, the Western North region, the Western region, and all those areas, even in the Eastern region, etc. Tell us, based on your observation, your intel, how serious is the issue? William Evans Nkum.
Microcosm in terms of the broader picture, but if you are to narrow it to widespread as far as the Ashanti region is concerned, then you say it's a major one. And of course, like you mentioned, in your prelude, traditional authorities at the local level being complicit. What to some extent, I will be surprised if even if they say that, we have no iota or a hint of idea whatever is happening as far as our traditional jurisdiction is concerned. Because yesterday, for instance, I spent some time at Impasetia, and where the incident happened is actually Yamkwanta, which is about approximately 10 kilometers away from Impasetia, and I understand it is a notorious hood when it comes to illegal mining. And this particular mining site has a history because 2 months back, a similar incident happened. 2 lives were claimed, but it didn't enjoy that level of, public interest because it never found its way into the public domain. But this time around, we're talking about approximately 6 people. Yesterday, per the information I gathered, 3 bodies were recovered, 3 are unaccounted for. They had to abandon the third party because at the point in time, they needed a heavy equipment to be able to at least remove some of the soil before they could get access to, where these miners are believed to have been trapped. And they could not do that, so they had to abandon the third party or mission. This morning, it is going to continue because now they have an excavator that will aid, the rescue team or facilitate in reaching these trapped miners. I'm not too sure whether they're still alive because from what I'm getting, just 12 hours or about 12 hours from now, I'm not too sure, even though I'm not an expert when it comes to this medical field. But I'll be very surprised if they're still alive. That would be one of the miracles this world has ever produced. But yes, their families need the body, whether dead or alive. So this morning, they are going to continue the mission. But like I said, Roland, this is not new to Yankwanta. This is the second time the mine has collapsed in a space of 6 months. No, in 4 months.
So wait, people are living in their homes, and beneath them, they are digging holes or pits or craters under their residence. Is that it?
Well, so yeah, these are indigents, and they employ the artisanal method of mining. And so yes, that is what they've been doing for some time now, and I understand that everybody knows about it. Kwame Dapa, whose house I visited last night, the family is well aware, and shockingly, they were not surprised. To hear that he's gone, because they knew that that territory was very dangerous, a fragile one, highly unpredictable. So it's like, well, even if it happens, you wouldn't be surprised, because I recall the father was telling me last night that, look, we know that it's a dangerous territory. When I was told that I've lost my son, I wasn't surprised. I'm worried that they continue to do that. But it's something that is also bringing food to the table of many homes. So it's like they are not complaining, but they also agree that it is an illicit trade.
Okay, so they agree that it is illegal, but the residents themselves, the leaders, the heads of the families, and I dare say the various small chiefs in the communities agree this is what we're quote unquote eating from. Is that what you're saying?
Well, absolutely. Well, absolutely, Roland. You couldn't have found a better description for this.
And in a
it's something that is absolutely. Absolutely. That is what they've been living on. Almost every youth in that particular community, one way or the other, is engaged in legal mining. So I asked one of the guys, because I know in the previous administration, there was a plan to set up a community mine, but I understand that one failed. So it's like they've taken their own destiny into their hands.
About 3 weeks ago, I called one of you. I won't mention which of you. Your bureau, and you said the area I told you to go to, they had machine guns, so you will not go. How serious is that?
Well, you see, so when it comes to dealing with reporting on Galamsey or illegal mining, it becomes a bit easier for a reporter when you are known. As far as communities that this kind of illicit activity is widespread. So, for instance, in Passaiti, I know a couple of people there, so it was easy for me to enter some of the places. This morning I'm going back because I know a couple of people there. And sometimes we just, all that they need from you is you understanding them. So when that trust is built, then they themselves are ready to tell their story, and they are even ready to lead you to dangerous zones or territories as far as their activities is concerned, because they themselves know that it is illegal. What they are doing is illegal. When they are caught, they will be made to pay the full rigors of the law. They themselves know. So anytime they are very territorial, they are always trying to prevent the world from knowing whatever is going on. And look, when it comes to the matter of, Galamsey pit collapse or people dying, to them it is normal. There is even school of thought. I cannot independently verify this, but there is a perception, call it superstition, that the more people die, the more they get the ore or the gold. So to some of them who believes in spirituality and what have you, and death is a good omen for them. And this morning, I am reliably informed that right after the place has been cleared, right after they've been able to uncover or recover those missing bodies, there's a possibility of the other guys who are still alive going back to the site to mine, because they believe that.
Evans, Mentiasia to Sika Kokono, Amanfo Wua, the nature say, one more Sika Kokono Benyana more. Is that what you're saying, literally?
That is the perception.
The more people die,
the more people die. Yeah, the more people die. That is
now the belief.
That is the belief. I mean, among the illegal miners, that is the belief that the more people die, the more they get the ore, or the gold, and that is the belief. So some of them, they are not, perturbed when it comes to, colleague miners or co-miners falling into dangerous fate and all, facing some fatalities and what have you. They are not perturbed at all.
All right. So, what dangers are you gentlemen facing? Yourself, Ibrahim, Erastus, Asaridonko, all of you always say sometimes your drones are shot down and all that. What dangers are there?
Well, the dangers are very obvious. It's like, let me use maybe Colombia as an example.
Please, where is Colombia? Bogota, Colombia?
Bogota, Colombia, places that you can talk about a cartel. I don't want to believe that we've gotten the arena of describing, this kind of activity as cartel or classifying it to be cartel like we have in Colombia or Mexico. But for me, I think we are inching closer, because now the people there are armed, okay? Some of them, the kind of weapon that they are, wielding, it's beyond comprehension. And you also ask yourself how they were able to get those weapons. And they are using those weapons to protect illegal mining site or illegal concession. Because they know, like I said, they know that whatever that they are doing is illicit, but they also don't want to be exposed to the world, or the world to know whatever that is happening as far as the illicit activity is concerned. So they will do everything humanly possible to protect their interest and also, guard against intruders. And we are considered intruders because we go there with cameras, we go there with things, gadgets that will end up exposing the activity. So certainly we become a target.
Yeah. And more so, you're not in government. You don't have money to.
Very. You are not going. For instance, now I'm entering the forest. I'm not. It's sad, but when you are lucky, for media general, we know that every protection is given. For instance, we have a very good relationship with the police. So yes, management will provide all these protection for you. But sometimes even the policeman that you're supposed to move to the field with, sometimes we tell you, look, I think this place is dangerous, so we have to move back. you are also looking for your story. Sometimes you have to defy. If you want to defy, it means that when it comes to protection, there's a limitation. You want to enter a zone, a security expert has told you that no, you cannot enter here. But you also know very well that if you don't enter there, you'll not be able to tell the story right. So what happens is that the security expert or your protector will leave you to your fate. So now it is between you and your God.
I don't understand. You mean the security person you went with will abandon you?
Absolutely. Sometimes when they will advise that, look, this is a dangerous territory, we cannot enter. We probably will need reinforcement, maybe a military or something. But you also will insist that I want to go there and get the story. All right. So it's a decision that you have to make. Either you agree with the security man to abandon you, so you enter there with your faith, or you withdraw.
All right, William Evans Nkum, you paint a very sad story, but it's devastating. I wish you all the best as you travel to the site, and please tread carefully, okay? Just like everybody, William Evans Nkum, the rest of the team as well. Erastus Asaridonko, of course, is a focal person when it comes to his consistency in covering this. This has also been awarded for the Erastus Asaridonko, great guy. And Hamza, I'll show you pictures. The president is commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces. We cannot be having militia operating side by side, established security agencies. And where small misfits, militia, operating in illegal areas with guns, whether they've been empowered by the Chinese or not, however they got the guns, whether it's illegally or legally, seem to be creating a narrative that they are powerful than established security agencies. Then clearly we have to call the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces into question, that his efforts perhaps could be stronger. Because so far, saying that
Roland,
it's a lame duck approach.
Roland, I think, first of all, I have always maintained that when it comes to His Excellency President Mahama, especially when he lost the 2016 elections, he learned useful lessons out of it. And as a public, as citizens, one would expect that we should also be guided by that verdict and the subsequent NPP government that took over and our experiences as citizens of this country. I'm sure we also had our lessons that we picked up as a result of the 2016 defeat of President John Dramani Mahama and how we handed over power to the New Patriotic Party. We all know the economic and social costs, even to our environments, as a result of that decision. But you see, even in learning useful lessons, we should not forget the person we are dealing with. We are dealing with His Excellency President Mahama, the very person that we joined political operatives to go after when he was in the midst of resolving doom. So I remember clearly that the questions we are asking today, too gentle, too calm, too collected, he needs to be tough. These were the very adjectives we were using to describe his efforts at resolving doom. So only for us to wake up one morning and realize the massive investments he had done. Because remember, his response then was, I am not in for a quick fix. I want to bring that canker to an end. We were all amazed when we realized the massive nature of investments he had done within that short period in resolving the Dumsor menace. To the extent that MPP, when they assumed office, their number one cry was issues of excess capacity and how to manage it. In the past, we did not even have the luxury of excess capacity. Today, we have such a gentleman once again with a clear commitment to tackling the Galamsey menace. And we have started with same adjectives. I can understand the need for urgency. But Roland, I indicated from the word go that to understand the nature of the problem we are facing, you simply cannot distance our economic challenges from it. Because from 2022, the country was at a standstill. You can imagine business community outside Accra. Our ordinary citizens, they had no source of livelihood. So it took years.
We know this.
I'm coming.
So we should wait.
Please be patient. I was patient to listen to all those. I was expecting that ordinarily you would have allowed them to make their submissions for me to respond. Because where I'm coming from, I'm privy to information that they don't. But you didn't give me that chance. So it is only proper, Roland, that you give me an opportunity, because you see, this is a serious fight. And the moment we get the Ghanaian people to be disinterested in the efforts of government, we shoot down that fight even before it starts, thinking that we are helping the process. And for me, that is my worry. It is not as if we are dealing with a government that has party functionaries in there or political operatives in there. Today we are talking about the security that at that place, about private militia. You and I know, I have done some work because of my association with NGOs in the mining sectors. This is not the first time we have private militia mining sites. Because we have always argued, those of us who operated within that zones, that the states only seem to be interested in issuing licenses to people to go and mine. But they are dealing with sensitive metals, gold. Armed robbers on daily basis would want to go and also partake in that trade by seizing whatever has been acquired by legitimate mining corporations or people with small-scale mining mines. But because the state over the years relented in providing security, because it is not enough for you to provide license to me to go and mine. You must also be interested in providing security to me to ensure that my employees are safe. Because taxes are paid. But because, no, real one, this should not be fair. But because taxes are paid.
Mr. Hamza, wrap up.
I'm coming, please, Roland. Please, Roland. This is sensitive. Now, so this is not the first time we have
sensitive.
Yes, it is, but this is not the first time we are.
Please wrap up.
This is not the first time we are having that issue of private militia. It didn't start with this government. It didn't start, but I have given you evidence of how even in their presence, because they are being organized by the private, what's the name, mining companies that have licenses to mine. So I am saying that there's the need for us to disband it, and the government is doing that. That's why the government has resorted into going full-blown confrontation with those of them who appear to be resisting. So it is not accurate to sort to create the impression that it is as if NPP has left office and NDC party people have suddenly gone to take over the mining sector. But one of your people said that the basis of this is because of there's a change, so people are emboldened because their party is in power and they're also taking over. You think that NDC people, NPP people would have sat down and looked for NDC people to take over without exchange of gunfire? We would have had a full-blown civil unrest in those areas in our hands. But all what I'm telling you is that this is a government that is responsive. We appreciate the urgent need for resolution by the Ghanaian people. It is within their right. But all what I'm telling you is that with President Mahama and the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources we have, their responsibility as leaders is not also just to give in to our emotions, but they must demonstrate leadership. Myself and you, we can be emotionally charged to demand that action be taken now, but it behoves on them to show that responsibility and the fact that the fight is connected to other sensitive areas and demonstrate leadership in such a way that we can holistically confront this menace. I am also not happy. I would be excited if I wake up tomorrow and I'm told that my government has been able to effectively deal with the menace. But I am pretty much excited about the steps being taken. More could have been taken, more steps could have been taken, true. But let us support the steps that are being taken today to ensure that we eventually nip the canker in the bud. This is something that has taken years to formulate, to take shape. It cannot be undone in a matter of 3 months. And I repeat again, that is why in our 120-day pledge, we did not indicate that we would end them so in a matter of a week or 3 months. No.
Right.
Illegal mining.
It is a considerable fact.
Yes.
That our correspondents, Erastus Asaridonk or the rest, they dare not near these boys or the sites. I'll show you a picture just taken about 3 weeks ago. And of course, there was a team. So you're fine. So you have examples of these. They are having guns. Even if you zoom in, you find some of the guns. They strap them.
Yeah.
And these are machine guns. Let's go. So you see them. Of course, Hamza clearly says there could be miscreants who want to take advantage of this. But, Solo, these cannot be more effective and stronger and bigger and more potent than our security agencies, right?
I mean,
so clearly, the strategy in using them is suspect.
I mean, this clearly shows that the security itself is compromised. Either than that, it shouldn't take the Ghana army more than 3 weeks to flush all of them out. But some people within the higher hierarchy are compromised. And that is why they are emboldened the security must act. And I still insist that the president has to put up a new pusher towards this fight to carry the Ghanaian people along. On the 31st of March, I read a story, and my attention was even drawn to it by my brother Nanayao. Support that when you go to Ahafano North, some NDC youth who are patriotic enough, and I want to urge Ahafano North that people must emulate such people. NDC youth who are patriotic, some realizing that the executives of their party in Ahafano North are involved in Galamsey and by extension pushing for Wanajiman to be MCE, has kicked against it, and they are fighting it, that they are not interested in Galamsey. Mind you, when you go to all these mining sites, the number of people that are engaged in Galamsey are not more than those that are not engaged in Galamsey. What it means is that it's only a few that are destroying all of us, our lives. So the Ghanaian must begin to also assert itself that it's a fight that is for all of us to go in. But that fight, we can only fight comprehensively when we see signs from the presidency. For instance, this MP who is alleged to be engaging in Galamsey, what has happened to him?
They are when
He's
responded and said he
responded and gone free.
And then the traditional leaders also came back.
Somebody just took one row, he's in Isawam. Yeah, somebody took plantain in Isawam. A serious matter like that, he said he responded and is going. By now he must be answering questions. And that is where you get the people following you. You understand? Not that we are going to use fan face. Oh, gentle. No, in this country, when they say you are gentle, they are weakening you. Make sure that you fight them. And when you do that, these 2x4 people with sidebars in the forest will be flushed out. I don't leave the movement for change were in power, but now all of them are out. Yeah, what these people? They would have been out by now.
You would have flashed them.
All of them. That's why we were going to ban Galamsey for mining for a year. And would have dared anyone to go on our water bodies, go into a forest, and let's see. Let them be stronger than the state. We sit here and then we encourage impunity. And the president must also begin within the shortest possible time. Reshuffle the regional minister. Send the Ashanti regional minister to somewhere, voter to Ashanti. When you get people who are not familiar with the territory, they will not be conniving with such people. But they know them, especially these MDCs. They live with them. They were sponsored by these Galamseyers, so they cannot stop them.
But on record, though, we don't have MMDCs yet.
They are going to be appointed, but some of them have been appointed. I've seen some lists circulating, some of the regions. It's come out. But in Ahafano North, the people, those that are appointed, they are alleging that one argument, who is a known Galamseyer, it has to be investigated. I'm not saying
appointed as MC.
Yeah, but he's in the pole position. That is why the youth who are into farming in that area says the executives over there who are also known Galamseyers. You see why we have been talking about this politicians? They are not helping this country.
All right. Richard Kumado, Mr. Kumado, at the end of the day, the security issue has become, it looks like, focal in the solution to be found to deal with it as an emergency, so the short term. How should it be done, Mr. Richard Kumado, with your experience as a security person?
Okay, so if you look at what the Minister for Lands has done, the first approach is to train about 4,000, is it 4,600 or 600 people of a number, total number, I think it's 2,460, to be the first line of reporting and observation on the water body. Then he went to say, let's amend the act. It was the amendment that created a problem for him. Then he engaged the security running around the place, making sure that many more places were cut. I think what we need is to have a whole catchment zone, and let's have a sanctioning regime like Solomon, my brother Solomon is talking about. Once you put in a sanctioning regime, it becomes a sanctioning regime that is broadly applicable to everybody, and those who are found capable should be dealt with. I know for all these years I have been in this environment that non-punishable of offenses will always rationalize bad behavior and promote antisocial tendencies within society. You don't need to be NDC, you don't need to be MPP. We have a nation, we have rules that govern it. And this is what the Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces is saying. that these are the sanctioning regimes for people who flout our laws and do A, B, C, D. I can tell you for a fact that the politicians involved, it's going to be very difficult for the president and it will be difficult for the minister for land. They need to get the politicians out, get the security officers in. They will treat this whole thing as a national security threat, and whatever resources they need from the president, once the president provides it to them, within a week or 2 or 3 or 4, you will get the results. The people are going to be flushed out of our forests, they will be flushed out of our water bodies, and we'll have a safer country. The difficulties with what we are dealing with that they are digging holes all over the place. You don't know what it brings in and what it takes out, and dangerously, you don't know what they are leaving behind. And to that extent, they may wage a stronger fight against our law enforcement agencies. It is a time bomb. We need to deal with it as quickly as we can. And that is the call I will support. I don't think the issue of slowness is going directly to the president. I think people have issues with the LI because they want to amend it. And that was not what the NDC promised. And I think they need to look at it again and we'll be fine as a nation.
The press conference that was undertaken by Intim Fojo, the Reverend, the former deputy minister, says that some aircraft were sighted to a Spanish-controlled island, Canaria, and even though he didn't provide direct evidence of the goods or the cargo they transported, at least named the aircraft. What do you make of it? Is this scanty information, or as the president said, he should work with national security to tackle this?
No, I think the president's response was very timely. The response was very precise.
Okay.
I am aware that the search procedures at Protocol has been enhanced. There has been several seizures and searches and many of those things they do. To the extent that the president is aware that money laundering could create problem for us because we could be sanctioned by the Financial Action Task Force in France, who regulates nations as a result of money laundering breaches. The president is also aware that if Protocol is blacklisted as a high-risk zone for drugs, it will create problem for us. The president is also aware that for some time now, Ghana has become not just an origin, but a destination and a transit point for all manner of crimes, including what we are talking about. So that is why when the member of parliament make those informations available, I don't call it allegations, I call it informations available. The president responded in the manner he did because he's aware of the 4 or 5 of the risks we face as a nation. I am an intelligence officer with over 28 years competence in this job. Anytime people use the word intelligence, I get shrink a little bit. Let's say one of our own who happens to be a parliamentarian put up an information that has risk implications and that has a classification implication. The president, who is the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, he give a directive that is very precise, and we should leave it as it is. I think that what the BNI particularly would do, one is to verify, to confirm, and number 2 would authenticate the genuineness of what the MP said, and number 3 is to ascertain the truthfulness of what he said. If there's nothing truthful now, we have a party now where the Attorney General speaks to the media and engages the media. Let's pray that the Attorney General will give credence to this particular information from the MP, and when he's briefing the press, he will take it up. But when the MPs have an issue, they could file a question in Parliament, and the Minister for Interior, who doubles as somebody who speaks for national security issues in terms of public safety, can come to Parliament and respond to those questions. But remember, the Attorney General is the #1 prosecutor, is the #1 law enforcement officer in this country. I am happy with the poster of the Attorney General, that he picks up cases and he engages the media. Other than that role, and I can tell you, the best practice all over the world is that the BNI will not speak to the media. The police may, but the officers of the National Security Secretariat will not speak to the media. And the president was very he was very clever in that area, bringing in the National Security Coordinator. The reason being that he sits at the National Security Coordinating Council, and all the national security institutions who come to the council, these are people he can direct,
Okay.
And these are people he can guide in the performance of their respective and responsible performance of their duties as National Security Council members. Can resolve this particular matter unless we want to bring in the politics of NDC and MPP, and people might want to say that Owusu-Fojo or the Fojo man is diverted the attention from the stolen containers from the harbor, and that is why he's throwing out this. But I am so confident that the PNI in particular will verify to confirm, they will authenticate it, and they will ascertain the truthfulness and the accuracy of what he's talking about, and we should leave it at that.
All right. Thank you for joining us, Richard Kumado, for this morning's discussions. And rightly, the president said just the last week or so, over 220 million, 350 million worth of narcotics were impounded. And it shows some commitment, so to speak. But he says that this is just information.
Roland, just on a lighter note, Solo, let me assure you that when it comes to the operations of the gold board, the institutions that are created and the mechanisms in place will not in any way influence illegal trade.
There are no mechanisms anywhere.
You see, Solo, there are mechanisms. Our Minerals Commission is not defunct.
But the Minerals Commission is there.
I'm coming. I'm telling you that. So when it comes to monitoring, it is not the gold board that will buy directly from illegal miners. When it comes to monitoring, our course should always continue to be that the institutions mandated to regulate the sector do so in the spirit of the law establishing them and giving them the mandate to do so. But it does not mean that the nation should come to a standstill when it comes to progressive policies that we can all take advantage of to more or less make the place or that sector lucrative for the state and its people. That is the point I'm making. So it does not mean that because you are going to have a progressive entity like the gold board, you are going to fuel Galamsey. If your institutions are made to work like we are committed to doing now, be rest assured that we will more or less glean out the needed benefits associated with the gold board and be able to curb the excesses associated with that. So the assurance I want to give the good people of this country is that we are listening. The president is listening to their concerns. The Minister of Lands and Natural Resources is listening. Be rest assured that within the coming days, proactive measures will be adopted to bolster the fight as far as to embolden the fight as far as the fight against illegal mining is concerned. Be rest assured, I can assure you. It was one of the reasons why we were voted into power. Now, it is not a laughing matter, unfortunately, Solo, because it has to do with the lives of people. So let's give it that needed recognition and respect. But now to the issue of the declaration by the MP. You see, Roland, in as much as we are taxed as citizens of the Republic to provide information, when it comes to certain players in our democratic space, much responsibility, tact, and sensitivity is required of them, especially a member of parliament. I have argued severally on this platform that as a member of parliament, you must demonstrate a high level of responsibility. Because like many ministers of state, like all the ministers of state, and even His Excellency the President, you are also an ambassador of the Republic. You must do everything within your power, to protect the reputation of this country, not to injure it internationally. So if you are a member of parliament, work your soul, and you have been given intelligence information that you cannot verify, the responsible thing to do, especially an information of this magnitude that has serious implications for our operations as far as the Ghana airports is concerned and even our international reputation, you simply cannot run to the press with conjecture, because the economic and security cost for this country would be more than that required for us to bear. So one would have expected him to activate our internal mechanism silently. Even doing, you may then be forgiven to go public with such an information. Nothing prevented the gentleman. He sits in parliament with the Minister of Interior, who doubles as the National Security Minister. I am sure that if it has to do with his own personal contracts, he would have found a way of getting access to Honorable Muntaka Mubarak to verify or to provide that information.
I'm sure. Is it because he came public?
You see, it is not everything you play politics with. He shouldn't have come. I don't know whether the allegations are true or not. So what happens? The news is already out there internationally. Our partners would begin to take certain measures. For all you know, you go to investigate and there's nothing but just a red herring. What happens to the international image of this country and our reputation? So I'm saying that he should have done it in another way. But this obsession with politics and wanting to score political, scores, especially when it comes to issues of drug trade, we must be careful, because the brunt is not just going to be on appointees of the state. Even he, as a member of parliament, when he jumps onto a flight to leave this country, whatever is going to be tightened abroad would apply to him. And they will point to him as part of the political class of this country who seem to be fueling or unable to confront the drug menace. Because you listen to him yesterday and you begin to wonder, is this a member of parliament who knows?
Why not? He's a member of parliament.
That's what I'm saying. You begin to wonder whether he is indeed qualified to be in that house. He is a member of parliament.
That's a matter of fact.
Whether he's indeed qualified to be in that house. Because you see,
no.
Roland,
so what's your point? That he came public? Or?
Yes, my point is that
what's wrong with what he said?
There's everything wrong with that. You see, we are talking about a sensitive security issue that has serious implications for our international image. So if you are not convinced about your intelligence, the responsible thing to do as a citizen of this republic is to activate your access to our investigative bodies. And that's why I'm telling you that he can have access, he can get through to the Minister of Interior. Nothing stops him from getting access to the Minister of Interior, the Minister of Defense, or the National Security Advisor, coordinator. So if you have access to information and you have not made it available to the quarters that needs that information, and you proceed to create an impression that there's complicity, then you are being irresponsible with the greatest of respect. And these are some of the things we should be concerned. And so for me, the president's response was timely. I've heard people say that, oh, the president shouldn't have responded. Possibly the national security minister should have. Or any other, the minister for government communication. But you see, it's because of the quarters it came from. It was coming from a member of parliament. And the president needed to assure the good people of this country and our international partners that when it comes to the security of this country, he is in charge. And that he has given a directive, even though he does not have access to that information, he has given a directive to all the security agencies in that sector to be able to collaborate effectively to bring out more information as far as that allegation is concerned. So I'm just hoping, Roland, finally, that the said MP, when he is called to support in the investigative process, he would make public, he will make available to them the source of his information and whether indeed that particular information is authentic or not. I believe that it is politics as usual.
All right.
I listened to Intim Fojo and I felt that...
I think the latest is that he says he's in his office. So
he's in his office.
So if the security agency...
Can you imagine?
You know, when I listened to him, I realized that he was doing secondary school politics. So I just ignored that. I mean, you were asked, what sort of, how did you identify that they were cocaine or money laundering?
Do you have evidence?
Do you have evidence? He said no. And that he believed that the national security should be able to tell us. He knew the national security should be able to tell us. Why then come and tell us? You don't have any information. You see, this business of sending university and secondary school politics into the House of Parliament must cease.
Why? Why do you say that?
This is what we do.
You think he was just rabble-rousing?
Rabble-rousing. It's politics. Now, you know, the party wants to quickly latch onto something so that it becomes topical.
I don't understand.
And that is how the NPP has been reduced to. Either than that, you are a member of parliament representing the people of Asin Central or Asin South, and you want to make a statement. The statement, any statement you make must reflect the ideals, views, and principles of the people of Asin. You don't just come and lie and tell us that we should go and investigate it.
He said he didn't lie. He said
he lied. He shouldn't annoy us. He lied.
Putting information before
the
national security.
He lied. Just like the last time national security also came to lie that some monies were found at Sapema. They should stop these.
What's the latest on that?
No, it's all lies. How many allergies do you have in this country? Is anybody called allergy in this country? If you say allergy, who is that allergy? Sapema. Who is that Sapema? You see, we have gotten to a stage where people are going to the moon. We are grappling with how to deal with containers, stolen containers. So we must up the game. If we cannot deal with the fundamentals, how can we then even be thinking of going to the moon? We we are not serious. You grant, and journalists also gives you the access to come and tell us all this rubbish. He was there and openly, brazenly telling us,
oh, he's a member of parliament.
And so what?
Once he calls a press conference.
Member of parliament. So every member of parliament, you just give, the last time you gave Stakeholder opportunity, just, yeah, Chinese, yeah. Is that the way you people want to run this country? And the political parties must be serious in evaluating the people that represent
Absolutely,
them.
it's important.
Because you see, you cannot just come and put something in the space for us to just go and judge about it.
You're hogwashing.
It is just needless. It's total fabrication. There is no iota of truth in it. Either that he himself would have provided without evidence. How much of a kilogram was in the flight? How much money was in the flight? Was it in pounds, euro? All these things.
So you think he just came to throw information out there?
Throw something in there, and unfortunately, it was also April Fool Day. You could have hidden behind that. This was just April Fool. But yesterday was April 1st. He gave me this information yesterday. Is that not it? It's not April Fool.
He's a distinguished member of parliament.
He's also a reverend, though.
He's supposed to be.
These people and the reverend and the way they come and tell us everything by heart. So disregard it. It's not something you must waste your time on it. And the president was also right. This is the kind of posture. You see the way and manner he responded to this cocaine issue.
Quickly.
If he's going to tackle Galamsey with the same alacrity and urgency, I'm telling you, get us with him.
Hamza, I didn't hear you give him a base when he was saying that.
No, I don't disagree with him. You see, that's why
let me read
allowed to expect.
Let me read.
From the president.
This one is coming from Opoku Prempa Boaji. I know you tagged me yesterday. And so when I was live on Erastos stream as well. So let me just read a couple of messages on our stream, and then I'll go to the WhatsApp if I can. This one is coming from Daniel Edu, who says, I'm watching you in Doha, Qatar. Roland, so the Ghana Police Service and the Ghana Army cannot flash out these people from the forest. Are they telling us that they don't have the necessary ammunition, capacity, and personnel? All right. And then also, Mani Nimani says, the way the NDC and the government are pretending like fighting Galamsey, it might suggest some of them are into Galamsey. Okay. Then Rashid Boase says, the Bulenga Road is one of the major roads that brings food to the people of the Upper West region. We are here pleading with the government to do something about the Bulenga Road. And this one is coming from Amama Gold. How can private militia be more powerful than our security forces? Something needs to be done. All right. Then I have a couple more messages also on our console, the WhatsApp console. So let me just read this one from... okay. So Alasan Suhiyini, the Deputy Minister says, please, Solo, small-scale mining is not illegal. What is illegal? Is illegal, whether small-scale or large-scale mining. And then
so the brothers want to do me in.
The gold board.
You see,
the gold board.
The gold board has that one. What is the difference between the gold board and the PMMC?
Huh?
This topic, make it a topic and let them come here.
Okay.
And let's go into it.
I have a member of parliament who says, my colleague acted in bad faith. That's Ernest Nogbe. He's also my MP as well. So this is my 9th year on this committee. And this kind of approach never happened. My colleague always rushes to the media to seek attention when matters of national security arise. He knows what to do. But, well, so he said this is first time on the committee as well. So apparently he's on the right committee. So ideally, could have filed a question in Parliament. But thank you, Solo, and the rest of you as well. Lawyer Soyeni.
Thank you, Roland.
But we have cash out, goes with a short code, *439#. This is what you need to do as many times as you can. You choose option 2. And then you increase the number of tickets you have, and then you become one of those lucky winners. Okay, and try as much as you can and become one of those lucky winners. All right, we're taking a break. We'll be right back.